It's so easy. Like my problem is there are definitely times where I'm like, I shouldn't write about that because they're gonna know that it's about them. Because they're all everyone here knows everybody. It's all the same. Like we all are connected. And I feel like there should be that voice in my head of like, you should keep some things to yourself, Caroline. Like it's okay to not just spill your guts all the time.
Hello, hi Caroline.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm doing awesome. How are you?
Good. Good, good.
Thank you. Thanks for doing this. I'm Adam.
Hi, Adam and Caroline. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me
Nice-
on.
Of course. Yeah, so this is about you and your journey in music, and we can talk about the song I think you just released it right today.
Yeah, it came out today. Crazy.
Yeah, Girl in a China Shop. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
Heck yeah.
excited to hear your story. Are you in Nashville?
I am. I'm Nashville based. It's very rainy here right now. Where are you at?
Just south of you in Williamson County, Nashville
Okay,
area.
cool. Nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice. It's
Are
very
you
like
in?
not seasonal. I'm wanting the cold vibes and it's not happening.
I
I don't
know.
know.
Yesterday it was like 75.
I know, it's humid. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on?
I know. It was freezing at the end of last month, like 37. And then now but I think it's supposed to get really cold
Okay,
early next week. So we'll see.
good. Fingers crossed.
Um yeah, yeah. Last year we only had one snow day. That was such a bummer.
I know. I'm into snow. I want more.
Where are you originally from? Are you from Nashville?
I'm from Mississippi. I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. It's like 6 hours from here. I started coming up here when I was like 13, and I moved up here when I was 17.
Wow. Okay. So what
Yeah.
was it like growing up in Mississippi?
It was good. I just never found my stride there. Like, it's a
Okay.
very cool place, and there's a lot of cool history. But it's just I like was in a very small town, and I was very like an awkward kid, so I just didn't have a lot of friends, which is my fault. So I mean, I blame me for that, not Mississippi.
Okay. And you started coming up to Nashville at 13.
Yeah, yeah. I asked
Wow.
my parents for my 13th birthday to take me to like an open mic night because I saw Taylor Swift's Journey to Fearless documentary. And I was
There you
like,
go.
easy, easy. We go to an open mic night, it's done.
I get signed
But
to a
I
major
fell in love.
label, and then I'm the
Yeah,
biggest artist on the planet.
simple thing. But I just fell in love with the city and it felt more like home to me than Mississippi ever did. And I told my parents that. And so I like started coming back every month after that.
Wow. And then
Yeah.
eventually moved here when you were 17 years old?
Yeah, I graduated high school early and
Uh,
moved up here. So
did
it
you
was
go
a good.
to college here, Belmont or something?
I went to Belmont. I dropped out very shortly afterwards, but I
There you
did go,
go.
and I used it basically I met a lot of cool people there, and I met some of my best friends at Belmont, which is sick.
Yeah. Did you go to study songwriting or music?
I did music
Impressive.
business production emphasis.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, it was cool. I learned about Pro Tools, which was nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people that start off like in the songwriting major and then they're like, yeah, I don't.
yeah, yeah,
Music
yeah.
business is where it's at. Like,
That
nothing
business.
wrong with that if you have the degree in that, but it's one of those things where like when you finish, it's not like you have the playbook to write like a massive hit.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Um, so how did you get into music? Do you come from a creative or like a musical household at all?
No, not really at all. My mom was like a preschool teacher, and my dad is a
That was
veterinarian.
my mom. That's awesome.
Heck yeah. It's a special place. I loved, did your mom ever let you go to school like and like see the kids and like hang out for a bit?
A little bit. I had to go like whenever I got like suspended from school, I'd have to go like push sand around with the
And you're like
broom.
a celebrity there. It was crazy. Yeah, that's so sidetracked, sorry. But yeah, I just always loved music and I was like a very socially awkward introverted kid.
Mhm.
And when my mom bought me a guitar, I started playing for like seriously when I was about 10 or 11. That really
Wow.
like brought me out of my shell and I started like writing about my day and putting that to music, like a weird little diary thing. And it was just very cathartic for me and that's kind of how I got into it.
Wow, and that early on too, 10, 11 years
Yeah.
old?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you teach yourself guitar? Did you get lessons or
No, I had this girl was so cool. Her name was Elise, and she would drive up, and she was like the first girl I ever saw that had tattoos, and she would teach me to play guitar every Wednesday.
that's
Um,
rad.
yeah, she was sick. Yeah,
Did you learn songs that you wanted to learn or was it I mean, I would imagine after you learned like some chords and stuff, but
yeah. She taught mostly just like songs. I'd ask her like, "How do you play this song?" And I learned that way, which was really cool.
what was the early one you learned?
I think the first song I ever learned to play was "Collide" by I don't even remember who sings it. Do,
Uh,
do,
You and I collide.
so yeah, that one because it's
Yeah.
like four chords. It's like the basic stuff.
Yeah.
I remember playing what song was it? Mine by Taylor Swift and like being like, I think I've got it down. This is sick. Yeah.
And so you watched that documentary on Taylor Swift, and then it was like, okay, I need to
Yeah.
get to Nashville, do some, songwriting circles, get into the Bluebird Cafe, and then I'll be famous.
I thought that was how it was gonna go down, kind of. Yeah, like it looked pretty like straightforward when I saw the documentary. But I was like, oh my gosh, there's a place where you can go and do this kind of thing, and it's not terribly far away. And I did play the Bluebird Cafe the first week I came up here when I was
No
13.
way.
I did, yeah. I got into the like open call thing they do, and
Dang.
I was so excited. But yeah, it was a cool experience for sure. It did not go that way for me, but it was like not a straight path to success, but it was super cool. So
But still, I mean, to even get that validation at 13, I mean, to get into the Bluebird Cafe isn't like you just show up and you're like, I'm gonna play tonight. Like, oh
it
yeah,
was
sure, why
like
not?
I remember it was me, my dad, and my mom, and we were all like in the hotel room, like trying to call in because if you got the spot, you could play. There was no
Mm.
background check pretty much.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, we got like the last number to play. So it could have gone really bad, but thankfully it didn't. So
Yeah, I mean, you said you're introverted,
oh yeah.
and to have the courage to write songs, not only do that, I mean, writing songs if you're doing it by yourself and not showing anyone's one thing, but to like show people and then go out on a stage or even, I mean, to play at that room, that must have been, I mean, that takes a lot of courage.
It was definitely like I was definitely underprepared. I don't think I realized what I was doing necessarily, like the magnitude of that room specifically. But there's definitely two sides to my personality. I'm very extreme in both ways. And like Caroline, I am on day to day, especially back then, is very shy and introverted and likes to keep to myself. But when I am doing music, that's the side of me that I am very open and very charismatic, and I have that desire to like go out there and perform and stuff. And that trip did teach me a lot about that part of myself, which was cool.
Yeah, I feel I'm very similar to you, whereas I'm
Yeah.
very introverted in any social situation or outside of this. But I've been doing this for 2 decades, so like I can turn it on and be like, "Hey," you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's like a comfort zone, I think, for me in a conversation like this because I kind of know where it's headed in some capacity. But it's like if I just have to go up to some random person and be like, "Hey, I'm Adam," like that's like terrifying to
It's
me.
horrible. Yeah, social gatherings, just the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I wonder if you feel that same sort of maybe confidence or you're kind of in control, right? When you're playing the song.
Definitely. And there's like this sense of freedom of like I feel like that's actually who I really am deep down inside when I'm on that
Mhm.
stage, and everything else in my life is sort of like something's warped. I don't know. But when I have those like 3 minutes up there, I'm like, this is who I am. And it's just like it's not a feeling I've ever been able to place for someone who I write words for a living. Like I still can't really place that feeling.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you started writing song, I mean, early to be 13 and then come up to Nashville and play at Bluebird Cafe is big. But like when you were in Mississippi and you were starting and writing songs, like to get your parents to take you there,
Mhm.
they must have had obviously some sort of faith in what you were doing. And not only that, but how supportive is that to be like, yeah, we'll take you up for your birthday and we'll try to get you into these things.
They're
Um,
incredible. Yeah, they're incredible. I think they were really more just like, oh my God, she's interested in something that's not sad, and she like she's doing something finally. So I think it was a little bit of like oh my God, we don't have to be concerned about her as much right now.
yeah,
But
let's
it was also
ride this
like they were
wave.
so supportive. Oh yeah, they were so supportive. And my mom like drove me up here for the next like basically 5 years every month to come work like in Nashville. So they're the
Dang.
best. Yeah.
Did you make connections on that first trip or like how did you eventually, I'm sure you didn't just drive back and show up in music
No,
or
yeah.
like, Music Row and like start pounding on doors. Like, how do you kind of make relationships with people? And then are you coming up here to write and, record your own songs? Or like, what was the path for you?
Yeah, I literally like did just start even in the Bluebird Cafe line. I met Jack Avery, he was in the band Why Don't We a while
Mm,
back.
okay.
But I met like a lot of songwriters who were just like, "Oh, here's my info. Like if you're back let's write, or here's advice on how to get started in doing this. And I know this manager and this thing, and you should come back for this round. So I just kept doing that. And then I eventually got connected to some producers who, you know how it works. It's just kind of like waterfalls. Like you just get connected to more people. And I was coming up here to write. I was coming up here to take meetings, to do writers rounds, anything I really could at the beginning, at least to get my foot in the door.
Yeah, did you always want to do this as like be an artist, or were you trying to be like, oh, maybe I could write songs for other people and like pursue like a publishing deal? I know a lot of people do that, but
Yeah.
was it always like I want to just be my own
It
artist
was
and
always like
do Taylor
artist is
Swift?
always first and foremost for me. Like art, like the artistry and songwriting for myself has always been my number one thing. It's
Hmm.
really hasn't been until the past probably like year, I'd say, that I got really into writing for other people, and now that's a big part of my life as well.
Hmm.
But at the time, it was mostly just for the artist thing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you come up and do these things, and then you end up going to Belmont University. What, apply and try to get like, do you submit like a demo? I don't know how it goes.
I don't even remember. They were really chill about letting me in. They were basically just like, write about why you love music, and I did. And like they let me in, and I was like, sick. They didn't have, I didn't have to send in anything. It was kind of like a normal college application, strangely enough, except for
Okay.
emphasis on music. And I didn't even live on the dorms, like in the dorms when I came. I lived in an apartment off campus. Because I just only took like a few classes there, but it was
Ah,
definitely cool to experience. I felt collegey there for a minute. So
okay. When you
yeah.
started writing your own songs and gaining that confidence, were you like at school and stuff? Would you play out around Mississippi, or was this just something that you kind of
God, no. That
yourself?
was my like, I tried to keep that a secret so bad, and it did get out.
Oh,
And I ended up, I was weird about it, dude. I was weird for some reason. I was just like nervous that people were gonna be like make fun of me, I guess. And
well,
some people, there
sure.
was like a whole like people would call me Hannah Montana, like, which is not a bad thing. Like it's fine.
Right.
But I was very like shy about it. I was like, I don't want people to know I do this. Like that's lame of me. I don't want people to know. And so I tried really hard to like not play at all near my hometown. I'd play in areas around Mississippi, like at different festivals, but never near my hometown. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories where people like I mean, kids are mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So once they found out, like, oh, and they throw their music video up like in the middle of class, like make fun of them. But it's like
Yes, that did happen to
now
me
that
when
person's like famous. But oh,
yeah.
really? That happened to you?
Yes, it did. And it was like so awkward. I was like, please, I don't want to watch this. Like, I don't do this. That's not me. I tried to like deny it. I made it weird though. It was my fault. So I made
But
it weird.
still, I mean, that's yeah, you're like sitting amongst everyone you have to see every day, and they're just critiquing your song
Yeah,
when
it
they
was
have
weird.
no, you know,
Yeah.
no like credits to even be able to do that. But wow. But that didn't stop you. It was like, okay, this sucks, but whatever.
Yeah, it was motivation to end to just like be like, okay, I know this is what I want to do and I don't want to be here much longer kind of thing. So
Hmm.
I ended up homeschooling my last 2 years of high school, which allowed me to finish early, therefore move up here.
Okay.
So yeah, it
What
was
year
motiv
did you move to Nashville?
2019.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
you had some music out before that, like at least on Spotify. You were
I
what?
did, yeah. I've been
Okay.
releasing for a minute, and it's very, my music's definitely taken a huge shift because at first I was kind of just releasing, I guess, things that made sense for a 15-year-old. And that was great.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And but it's definitely just taken some growth there. Yeah.
Yeah. You had a song with Rehab.
Yeah, in 2020 I did. I wrote that song in town with my friend Sam Bergeson and Carl Olika and Ben Williams. And we like my manager at the time had a rehab connection and he sent it to him and he was like, yeah, I'll remix it. And I was like, cool. So he did.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
It was dope. It was a super cool. It's always the things like you don't expect and like you don't set out to try to make happen that are like the coolest things that happen, I think. That's at least what I found in this industry so far.
Yeah. So you said you didn't attend Belmont very long, and it was just what you started making more connections in town, and it was like, well, I want to do this and songwrite, so I'm gonna do this full time.
Yeah, I had a management team at the time and I was doing rights every day and really I felt like school was kind of just taking away time. I was kind of
Mhm.
already doing what I was going to school to do for me at that
Right.
point. and I was learning more about production in actual sessions. And it was great. Like I'm really grateful and like glad that I went for the time I did, but it got to a point where I was like, I don't know why I'm still going.
Yeah. And you came here, you said in 2019?
Mhm.
Okay, so you came like right when it got real weird. I mean, like Nashville
Yeah.
had some weird stuff happen, right? You had
Oh
the
yeah,
the
like it was like
bomb and the
tornado and the
tornado
bomb, yeah, and
and then
then COVID.
COVID.
Yeah,
It was like, damn, like Nashville just got slapped in the face.
it did.
Um, so like COVID happens, and were you still at school at that time, or are you already out?
I was still in school. I did the I think I did all of 2020 school, and then
Okay.
the first semester of 2021, but it was all like Zoom. And so I would go home to Mississippi a lot during that time because no one was here. And it was a
Mhm.
weird, I know it was a weird time for everybody, but yeah, it was not
Did you
very live on campus.
Right, were you spending a lot of time writing during that? I mean, was it like, okay, now I have all this time, I'm just gonna write a bunch of songs?
Yeah, for sure. I wrote a majority of like the songs I wrote by myself that ended up on my first album during that time because I was just like alone with my thoughts, like I think a lot of people were. And in that sense, it was a very like creatively inspiring time for me.
Mhm. And that was on Rarities and, Prodigies, that was the first album?
Yeah, Oddities and Prodigies came out in
Oddities, what did I say? Rarities? Oddities and Prodigies.
same thing. They're the same thing. It came out in 2022, February. So yeah, it's been a minute, but that was my first album.
Okay, and a lot of those songs you said you wrote over the course of the pandemic by yourself?
Yeah, I wrote there's 16 songs on the album, and I wrote eight by
Mhm.
myself and eight with two of my friends, Michael and Chucky Iolo. And the eight that I wrote by myself, I started during that pandemic time.
Okay, and then what, when it all kinda opened up, when did you record them here
Yeah, I
in
came back to
town?
Nashville and
Okay.
recorded them. I was just like, well, I have all these songs now. I guess I should probably use them. So I did.
Yeah, so you put the album out and then, what, are you touring on it or just trying to get it
That
out?
album,
Like,
I mean,
what
it
was the
came out.
plan?
When I put it out, I was like, I just have something to say and I want to say it. I'm a big project girl, and I feel like I've been releasing singles my entire life, really. And I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to kind of start with chapter one and build on that. And it felt like the first like more mature thing I'd done. And so I just put it out. Like I didn't do anything really surrounding it. I just promoted it, and it did fine. It wasn't like a career changing thing, but it was definitely like as an artist something that was really important to me. But since then, I put out an EP
Mhm.
this summer, which has been really cool, and more singles after that. So gonna try to tour next year, but I've not actually like toured as a musician.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, nowadays it used to be, when I was a younger person, it was like you put something out because there wasn't Spotify or any other thing, and
Yeah.
you put it out and try to just go to every single town and across the country and try to get somebody to, buy your demo or whatever. But nowadays you could just put it up and everyone could kind of find you
Oh yeah.
without really having to do. I mean, it helps, but I mean, it's not the same thing, right? I mean, you can just put it up and people can find you.
Definitely. And like touring is so expensive. And for me, it's like, it's sad because it is like something I love. And I feel like that's the way I connect most with people. My online presence, I feel like I don't come across the way I do on stage, of course. And,
Mhm.
but that is like a great thing about nowadays is like, you can put a video up on TikTok or release it on Spotify, and it can like do more than 6 months of touring would do for you. So,
Right, right. You have
uh,
millions upon millions of people that can
yeah,
see it.
yeah.
With, the you had the Rehab cut, which is huge, or he did the remix, which was probably a big moment for you. Like, what was putting out the album kind of the next, like, really validating thing, or did you have, like, a big moment that happened? Like, what was the next kinda big score you had?
I would say, gosh, I don't know if I've had one since as big as the rehab thing. That was definitely like, I guess if you're gonna look at it like numbers wise and analytically, that was a big thing. But as an artist, the album was huge for me, and I think
Yeah.
the EP I put out this summer is what I'm most proud of putting out so far. It's very
Uh-huh.
cohesive, and it's very telling of where I'm going as an artist. And so it was like those were little wins for me. Those were definitely
Sure.
moments for me. Um, but yeah, I don't think we'll see what the next I still remember rehab remix thing is. We'll
Yeah.
still
Well, I mean, that doesn't necessarily
yeah.
mean much. I mean, yeah, sure, they worked on it or whatever, but numbers don't really call everything because I've had people on where they could get a billion streams on something and then that's about it, right? I mean, you could
Yeah,
have one song that does really well, but it's like the consistency I think is much
for
different.
sure, for sure.
And it looks at you, you have consistency. I mean, your songs have hundreds of thousands of streams, so it's not like
Oh,
it was like
yeah.
negative 1,000 and then like the one song or
Yeah,
less than 1,000 or whatever it is.
for sure.
Um, so putting out the album and then you put out the EP, you said that was like a cohesive piece of work. When did you start writing those songs for A Brief Epic?
I started writing the songs for a brief epic. Oh gosh, it's the end of 2023 now. I
Yeah.
think I started writing them last summer, so summer of 2022. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I just gotten through my first actual relationship heartbreak thing, and
Mhm.
I had something to write about like for the first time that was real, I guess in that sense. Like when it came to love, I've never really written about that. Like most of my earlier stuff was very just self-reflective and I guess like youthful, but this was my first like tragedy. I kind of called it as and I've always had a thing for like Greek tragedies. I'm a big like I don't know why Greek history girl.
Are you
And
Greek?
so I centered that. No, I'm Italian, so it doesn't even make
Okay.
um yeah, I don't know. But I kind of centered it around that whole thing. Around a book he gave me called The Song of Achilles, and it's kind of all based around that one thing. Yeah, I'm really proud of that project. And the response that I've gotten from that, like even though the numbers have been smaller than other things I've put out, I feel like I've gotten more fans from that discovery of this EP than I have from anything else, which has been really
Wow.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool. And going into this, like writing about that, was that difficult? Was it something you're like, I don't know if I really want to go down this path, or was it pretty easy and therapeutic?
It's so easy. Like my problem is there are definitely times where I'm like, I shouldn't write about that because they're gonna know that it's about them. Because they're all everyone here knows everybody. It's all the same. Like we all are connected. And I feel like there should be that voice in my head of like, you should keep some things to yourself, Caroline. Like it's okay to not just spill your guts all the time. But no, like writing was very necessary for me during that time. And um yeah, it's songs like that and projects like that I love writing because it's like you just have to say it and you have to get it out in a matter of minutes, and those end up being the best songs in my opinion.
Yeah. Was there a particular song that you're like, I don't really like, you're on the fence about putting it out just based off of
St.
the
George. Yeah.
direct
Saint,
directness of it?
yes. St. George was the first song I wrote for the project, and it is basically like so hyper specific to this guy. And at the time we were still like following each other on social media and talking. And I remember like posting about to like post a teaser thing for it, and I was like, this is so targeted towards him. Why would I do this? Like that's so dumb. And then I just posted it. So yeah.
Did you get a phone call within minutes? Like, hey.
No, but we don't follow each other anymore. So
Oh,
yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. It's
uh
gotta be awkward to have an EP written about you though. I understand where he's coming from on that. So
100%.
yeah.
And then you just released a new song and do you have well, let's talk about it. Tell me about this song. It just came out today.
Yeah, it's called Girl in a China Shop, and it's I wrote it a few weeks after I turned 22 because I turned 22 in September of this year.
Oh,
And
really? September birthday. Mine's
September
I
4th.
what's your birthday?
September 4th.
Oh, okay. But I'm 23rd. So what, you're
Dang. Okay. Well,
Virgo?
I'm a Virgo still. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't really know if I am one. I just,
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know past
I
the
think
fact.
I'm on the 23rd. Like my day is like the day that it changes. So like some
Really?
calendars, yeah, it's really weird.
Wait, so are you a Virgo?
I no, I'm technically I think a Libra, but day one of Libra.
Okay.
So
Wow.
some if you look at some calendars, it'll say that I'm a Virgo on the last day, but I don't know. It's really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. Good for you both, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like the past 2 years of my life, I've made the worst decisions of my life. And that's been a good thing in some ways, but I'm not used to that. Like when I turned 21 and was able to go out and drink and make poor choices for the first time,
Sure.
I was like, oh my God, this is scary. And when I turned 22, I was like, I'm still doing this. And I feel like I can't get a grasp on anything in my life. I feel like I ruin everything, whether it's like my own career or like my own emotions or a relationship or anything. I just feel very self-destructive at an age where I feel like maybe I shouldn't be. And that's where I got this idea for Girl in a China Shop, and basically just how I feel like just two opposing forces at all times.
Okay. I like that. And was this something you wrote recently? You said you wrote it on 22nd. Oh, wow. So you would have wrote it what, like a month ago, month and a half ago?
Yeah, I wrote it middle of September.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, we kind of got to rush to put this out if we want to make it happen. So we did. But yeah, it's finally out. But yeah,
That's great.
it was a good time.
Are you working towards another project, like EP or an album or something?
Definitely. My goal is to put out a project of some sort every single year.
Mhm.
Like, or at least, I don't know, always be working towards that project. I don't know if it next year it's going to be an album or an EP, but I'm already like working on putting together a cohesive string of songs that I think fit towards that. It just depends on how many and when. But yeah, I've got another single coming out in December. So we just keep the train rolling. We just keep
Oh,
going.
wow. What's the
Yeah, yeah,
next
yeah.
one?
It's called Tell Her I Said Hi. It's one I've been teasing for a minute, and I've gotten a lot of requests to put it out. And I think I was just like, okay, Merry Christmas, we're putting it out. Here it is. Yeah.
Rad. Very,
Yeah.
very cool. And then you said you're writing for other people. It's like a new
Yeah.
endeavor, or how long have you been doing that?
I kind of just got into it via like producers I would work with calling me and being like, "Can you write for this guy today? Like we have a session." And I really fell in love with it. Like taking being able to take on another voice is really really cool. And
Mhm.
now it's basically like my full-time everyday gig is like writing for other people. And that's kind of happened a lot over the past year, but I'd say it started over the past like year and a half ago or so. And yeah, I've had songs come out with some really cool people, and I've made some really, really great friends that way. And it's definitely strengthened my ability as a songwriter too. Like, and not also like you just don't want to think about yourself all the time, so it's cool to think about other people too.
Yeah, yeah. So you're
Yeah.
working with just with other artists around Nashville?
Yeah, or like sometimes like people will come in from. I have an artist, Alex Coles, who comes in from Canada like every few months and writes with me, or sometimes LA artists, and sometimes we'll make trips to go out to LA for different things. So yeah,
Wow, that's really exciting.
it is fun. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Caroline.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Sorry,
Yeah, I
my
have one.
lighting is kind of poor. It's not as great as yours.
You're what?
My
Sorry.
lighting is somewhat poor.
No,
Not
it
as great
looks
as
good.
yours.
Looks
Sorry.
great. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
Um, well, I have one more question. I want to
Yeah.
know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
My advice for any aspiring artist, it sounds cliche and I almost hate saying it, but it really is like you just have to believe in yourself. You have to be able to sell yourself first because no one's going to buy it if you don't buy it yourself. As someone who like really struggles with self-confidence, like something I had to learn is like I have to believe in what I'm saying, I have to believe in what I'm writing, and I have to believe that I can do this because that comes across to people and that will get you in a lot of rooms more than even just numbers or a song. Like your belief in yourself and that persona and that attitude will get you in rooms.
Bringing it back